Very pleased to have with us from Smart Girl Politics, Maya Grimm. Maya, thank you for coming on the show this afternoon.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You bet. You have written a piece, bullet point, straight shooting on firearms terminology. Sadly, this is needed, Maya, because sadly we have a lot of people in the press who are writing kind of just whatever they want, using whatever phrase or terminology they want. And we have, I think, a lot of Americans who are following the debate and the discussion about gun control closely, but they're getting a lot of bad information out there. So you decided to help set the record straight, right?
I did, and Smart Girls Politics gave me the platform to do that, so that was really nice of them.
So what's the biggest problem right now? I mean, what's the one phrase? Is it semi-auto? Is it assault weapon? Is it that confusion?
I think everybody's probably seen Pierce Morgan making a fool of himself, and he likes to throw around the word assault a lot, and assault was the first word I hit because assault is something a person does, not that a weapon does, that you can modify your attack with a weapon, whether it's a gun or a car or a ketchup bottle. And I don't know that there's any one term in the gun world so much that's causing confusion, because I think once people learn, read the article or others like mine out there, they understand. I think the problem is that the other side has hijacked the language, and they redefine our language, and they redefine our culture, and they redefine our history, and we can't let them do that anymore, because then they control the narrative and try to tell us what's acceptable. Like when they tell us that we can't use the word choice, that Smart Girls Politics is using to sign a petition to tell Dianne Feinstein to take a hike, that we want to choose how to defend our families. They say you can't use the language of feminism. You can't use that language. Well, choice was a word that was around way before leftist feminists hijacked it and made it a single application word. And so are lots of these other words, and we have to remind people what they really mean.
No, I think that's absolutely right. In fact, today, as a matter of fact, we've been discussing this brand new phrase, assault magazine.
Assault magazines, yeah. I heard about that when my husband told me about that. I'm not exactly sure what an assault magazine is, because it seems like it would go inside that scary assault weapon so that it doesn't do anything on its own, but that, being on the left and being anti-gun and Pierce Morgan and his followers means never having to make a coherent argument.
And you would be right. You would be right, Maya. I thought it was the Neiman Marcus Christmas catalog, but I was wrong. It is their definition of a magazine that is capable of holding more than 10 rounds. Because as they've told us time and time again, Maya, why would anybody need a magazine capable of holding more than 10 rounds? So if you have one, why, it must be one of those assault magazines.
That's I guess, according to them, but I can think of plenty of reasons I would need more than 10 rounds. I hope I never have to encounter one of those reasons. Home invasions are perpetrated generally by 3 or more people, so, I'd like to have the maximum number of rounds for a situation like that. Or I have a 22 that I keep under the bed, but it's kind of a tricked-out, assaulty-looking 22. It's real scary. But 22 is, it's a small round. You know that. It's like an M&M compared to the Snickers round of like a shotgun. I want more than 10 rounds in my 22. That's why I have the 25-round magazine in it.
Talking with Maya Grimm from Smart Girl Politics. All right, let's talk about some of the other definitions here that you went through. And what has the reaction been to this, by the way?
I've seen a lot of people liking it on Facebook and in social media world, and I know that my first article with Smart Girl Politics was Why I Carry, and that seems to have got a lot of social media world attention too, and I think it's because I try to use humor. Life's too short to be dour and sour. And I think using humor and telling people the truth about things in a straightforward way, it helps to get our point across.
No, I do. Listen, I do too. I mean, I firmly and truly believe, Maya, that part of the strategy by the gun control advocates, by the Organizing for America folks, by the folks who are pushing these gun control laws, is to try to get gun owners angry, so that they can then portray gun owners as crazy, angry people, and they're scary because they have guns too. So I don't want to play that game. And I think humor is absolutely effective. And, to be the happy warrior, to be the person who, points out the absurdity of the media while offering an education to those who want it. I think you've done a very, very good job with that.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right. So high capacity. I love this. You first of all, you point right off that the term is highly subjective. What is high capacity, and who decides this?
I don't know. That's why if you click on the link, this is an interactive article. If people haven't read it, take a couple of minutes, go click on the link. It's on the links in the whole article. It's an interactive thing. You're not going to get the full flavor. You're not going to be rolling on the floor laughing your tushy off if you don't click the link.
Okay.
So if you click on that link, you're going to see what everybody who's been in a bathroom at a Costco has probably seen. One of these giant rolls of toilet paper. And next to it is another. There's a giant toilet paper holder, but there's 4 rolls. So one of those is a larger round, let's say, but they only got the 1 roll. And then there's the high-capacity toilet paper. So I'm not sure who decides what's high capacity, but it's very subjective. New York said 7, which it looks like is backfiring, no pun intended, on them. California last night, I heard in their state legislature wants to make it 1 round in a gun at a time. So,
yes.
and that just might pass, since that whole state legislature is controlled by the D's, and they have the governor they have. So it's whoever's controlling the narrative, and right now the anti-gun left is controlling the narrative and redefining words and making them as scary as possible. And high capacity sure sounds scary, but if you sit down for a minute and think about what high capacity is, there is no solid definition.
No, and I found, as I'm engaging with folks, that one of the things that I do because invariably it starts with the question of, why do you need this? Why do you own this? Why do you do this? And usually the phrase assault weapon or assault rifle. I haven't gotten an assault magazine yet, but that's brand new. Probably a couple of days before I start getting those questions. I always turn it around and just ask them to define what it is that they're talking about first. And, you provide a great, short, pithy explanation of, what these things really are. Because I usually get things like, oh, they're bullet hoses, they're machine guns, they're weapons of war, Maya. So tell me why you'd want to own one of these things. And so then you actually have to say, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. And right?
Right, there's that, and then I've gotten a lot of trolls on the social media, and I mean, we hear it all the time. You hear it when you watch Piers Morgan for a laugh about these 100-round magazines, and they exist, and I don't know people who have them, and I haven't heard anybody making that we need and want to buy 100-round magazines. That's the straw man that they're putting up. I don't want a 100-round magazine because it jams and it doesn't fit in my purse. So I want a size that's sensible for me in the round size that I carry. I have a Glock 38, so that's 45 gap. That holds 8 rounds. I like a few more. That's why I got the new Gen 4, holds 13 rounds. I don't think 13, and there's so many numbers between 10 and, you hear the number 30 a lot, 30 too high, 100. There's a lot of numbers between 10 and 30. There's a lot of numbers between 10 and 100. So where's the line between 10 and 11, that 11 is high capacity and a weapon of war, and 10 is not?
Well, I want to know, too. I mean, look, Maya, if this is, occasionally they still remember that this is all supposed to be about the children and protecting our children. So occasionally they remember this. So, I'm curious, does this mean if you are calling for a 10-round limit on magazines as opposed to a 7-round limit on magazines, as we saw passed in California, does that mean that you care about children 30% less than those in New York? What about California, where you got this proposal for single-shot firearms, basically? Does that mean that you love children 7 times more than they do in New York. You do have to point out the absurdity and the arbitrary nature of this. I think Bloomberg said if it were up to him, 3 rounds would be the limit. And so ultimately, why should it be up to any of those people who don't own guns, who don't use firearms, who have no respect for gun owners? Why should it be up to them to say, well, here's what the limit's going to be?
It shouldn't be up to them. I mean, we can't be fooled either when they I own a gun, but, well, that's nice. But it doesn't make you pro-Second Amendment. I eat broccoli. I'm not a vegan. So we can't be fooled when they tell us they own a gun. When Rob Lowe goes on Pierce Morgan, at least Rob Lowe knew when to shut up because he was starting to step in it. But Rob Lowe is another one of the Hollywood elite who doesn't know what he's talking about. And we have to stop listening to people and taking them seriously when they don't know what they're talking about.
Maya Grimm, thank you so much for coming on the program. I like taking you seriously. I think you know what you're talking about. So will you come back?
Sure, I'll come back.